Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coast Files, your podcast for ocean mysteries and true crime. I'm Chantel.
I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Megan. And the fourth guest of today's podcast is the Lobster.
Oh,
I was like, special guest.
Out?
You better have a lobster now, Megan.
When this episode becomes live, it is September 25th, which is National Lobster Day. And I guess maybe more importantly, my little sister's birthday.
Oh,
happy birthday, Lily!
I didn't realize that. Happy
She
birthday, Lily.
doesn't listen, and that's why the podcast is about lobsters and not her, because
that's fair.
you know.
Yeah.
And also she didn't.
So
come
how
in
do
with
we?
fries or
We need to
ocean
get her to
type
listen,
snacks.
get some feedback. Like as a Gen Zer, like what are your thoughts?
I feel like
What
she
could-
will be scathing.
What are the
So-
cool things to say now that we're like, millennials and we're not cool anymore?
Yeah.
So
I can't wait for her to just tear me a new one and
Do
say,
people
like, start
still
over.
say "talk to the hand"?
Okay, sorry. You sound like all of our mothers trying to be cool. And also, I would say that from that age group, we never said that. Like, it was always ironically we said it. Like, I don't think we thought it was
Right,
actually.
yeah.
I think if I said it to anyone, it would have been ironically and probably to my brother.
Yeah.
Because
I was gonna say probably to your little brother,
Right.
for sure.
Also, the classic L on your forehead, as made popular by Smash Mouth. Although they took it from popular culture. But anyway, so.
And also the movie Loser.
yeah, right.
the movie.
Or does Loser get
I'm
it
pretty sure
from?
they did it. I'm pretty sure they did it in the movie Loser as well.
Am I a loser for not
Yeah,
knowing
that was
the
like
movie Loser?
that was a poster, wasn't it?
You don't know the movie Loser? That's where that
Oh,
song is
sorry.
from.
Yes, I
Yeah.
do. Yes, I do. As soon it's like a 2000 coming of age high school
Her
comedy.
name is Noel.
Yeah. And she rings my bell. Anywho, I said this is going to be a 1 hour long episode, and we're already going off the rails.
Okay, I do have a question. It is real. Okay. It's about Lobster
Yeah,
Day. Is it the same day every year? So it's always Lily's birthday, or is it a special day or a certain day of the week or a,
It is the same day
sometimes they're
every
like-
year. And can I tell you that I emailed calendars.com to confirm?
You've done this multiple times
That
already.
is definitely
because
something you
obviously
would do, and I love that.
Because I
love that
was
you do that.
getting mixed communications. I was getting June 15th and then I was getting September 25th. And I said, well, one of those things has already passed, so we're fucked. And the other thing is co-signed with another really kind of fun day, which is a family birthday. So I emailed it. He was like, thank you for emailing us, Megan. I'm like, am I the first one that's ever emailed you? But he said that
Probably.
they said like
Probably about
they-
Lobster Day. Anyway.
Well, they said that, whoever
Yeah.
they are, the collective they, moved it officially to the 25th of September. So
Probably a lobster fisherman.
maybe the
When does lobster season start in
hold on,
Scotia?
April to July,
There's two, isn't
end
there?
of July.
okay, so lobster season's
too. I
over.
could
The
be
lobsters are
Oh,
safe.
lobster. I mean, yeah. So I don't know if legally you can catch them.
I mean, they're never safe.
they're safe for now.
Not as long as I'm
Safer.
alive.
The lobster season, like, it's very particular, just like any kind of hunting season would be. So I don't know exactly when it is in July. It could be like the 31st of July it ends. You can still buy lobster because lobsters are caught and a lot of them are kept live in saltwater tanks, or they are frozen or whatever it is. So you can still get lobster, but the catching season is over.
I feel like
So
I have
they-
questions already, but I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm gonna save them for later.
Well, before Chantal even says her next sentence, this episode was going to be lobster facts, of which I had like 8 pages. A lobster related murder, and then a lobster related murder. So when I was on page 60, I thought, you know what? I'm going to have to break this case up. So we're going to do a couple baby cool lobster things a little bit, and then one case, and then mark your calendar, next year I'll do lobster facts and my smaller case.
On the next Lobster Day,
1 year from today, come back and you'll see. I'm also
Okay.
going to call it the Lobster Chronicles.
Oh,
perfect.
okay.
I love
So
it.
this is
I like
Lobster
it.
Chronicles 1. So you know
Okay.
that part 2 is coming.
And remember, we're going to be doing this for like 30 years
At
minimum.
least.
So you've got a lot
yeah.
to come.
Oh, also on that note, can you please, like, beautiful listener, your soul, by the way, is shining. I can feel your soul energy through the airwaves. please go to Apple Podcasts and review and give us a 5-star, please.
But only 5-star.
Yeah, if you hate the podcast, give it 5-star and pretend that it's a podcast that you love. Also, why are you listening if you hate us? That's kind of weird. But please go and review. That would mean so much.
That's called a fan.
I hate this, but I'm committed.
If you love to hate us, you still give us 5 stars because that's solid entertainment value for you, the listener.
And you can also rate us on Spotify too, but Spotify, you just can't like say anything. You just like
That may be even better.
Yeah. I mean, is it though? Because like somebody can't say why they're giving us a lower review. I think that, what is our?
It's
I looked at it
4.9.
recently.
That's pretty good.
Oh,
On
So,
Spotify?
so one person thought
One
you know what?
hater.
A 4. I wouldn't even say a hater. I'm sure it's all 4. And they're like, you know what?
Maybe some people have higher criterias for giving out, top marks. Remember those teachers like, I don't give out A's.
Ugh.
It could be
And
that.
I was like, but I deserve an A. Like either my work is an A or it's not.
I actually can't stand that kind of mentality. But anywho,
I can't either. But
listen, guys, if you're watching, if you're watching / listening, and we're under an hour, phenomenal. I don't think I'm going to do that again today. Okay, so let's just start. So as I mentioned, we're going to do a little bit about the lobster, and then I do have a case. So first, I'm going to butcher the Latin and or Greek language, because as we've learned with science, it's Latin or Greek, and I can almost never tell which one's which. I think this is Greek. So lobsters are...
It's all Greek to me.
Okay, we can't keep making that joke. We make it every time.
was it Chantal's where every second word was a Greek word? that we had to-
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, that you're the science gal, so that's like a
Go back
path
to
you're
our
gonna have to
Mariana
walk
Trench
forever.
episode if you love Greek
we go.
words.
If you love us
Yeah.
butchering Greek words, that is a good one.
Yes. Yeah.
So lobsters are Malacostracans. That sounded flawless. Of the family Niprophidae, or its synonym Homaridae. So that means nothing really, but that's their genus.
I just have to believe you.
Yeah.
Lobsters. So I'm saving all of the cool science facts for the next National Lobster Day, which is a year from now. As I mentioned, it would have been a huge case. So I had to move across a lot, but like just, oh my gosh, stay tuned. Don't go on Wikipedia. Wait for me, okay? I want to be there when you learn.
Okay. I'm excited for that too. That's like my favorite thing.
Oh, it's so much cooler than I thought. So what I will do now is share the most rare colored lobsters that exist, which I think is still pretty cool. So the normal coloring of a lobster is typically a dark blue, green, brown, and that helps them blend in with the ocean floor. We love a girl that is camouflaging. Also, Chantal, cover octopus someday, please. After a
Really,
lobster
Chantal
cooked-
is okay. Sorry.
Sir, no, go ahead.
No, you're about to say it.
After a lobster is cooked, they look more like Chantal's top, which is a bright red color.
It's literally what I was going to say. I'm like, I'm stealing her line. I better stop.
Oddly enough, I don't own any red, as I was saying to you guys earlier. So I am not really representing the full.
You
nautical
represent
theme.
uncooked lobster.
I have a tattoo of an uncooked lobster on my leg. And
there you
that's
go.
commitment, I think. So what I'm going to show you today are the really exciting things that a lobster shell can do. When these types are caught, they're normally released back into the ocean or they are donated to an aquarium. I'm not sure why one would happen versus the other, because if you've been to an aquarium, especially there's one in Toronto, we have seen lobsters of crazy colors, but I've also seen videos of people, either someone fishing on purpose for lobster or someone who just comes across one, and most times those folks put them back. So I hope that there's a little colorful gang, on the ocean floor hanging out. But it is cool to see them in, tanks in an aquarium. I have mixed feelings about aquariums, but anywho. So
Do you think that maybe age has to do with it? Like how old they are, whether or not they put them into it?
that's actually a great point.
Or if they're
hard.
pregnant, right? Remember that?
Well, if they're pregnant, well, see, that's the thing
They
too,
have
is
to
that
throw
they're trying to help lobsters procreate
Right.
easier. So they may keep a pregnant lobster in general because they want to help, like with a breeding program. But ideally, if you catch a pregnant lobster that has eggs, you have to put it back. You're not allowed to catch those at all, color or not. So maybe it's only the male lobsters that they keep. These are questions I'll have answered for you next year.
Next year.
So photo
Take
one.
note on that. Our extra
Photo
questions.
one, please enjoy. You're going to see two adorable lobsters. These are the albino color shell. They're called white, translucent, crystal, or ghost, which suits us. Imagine a ghost lobster.
They look magical.
They really, really do. These are 1 in 100 million, the odds that you'll find one of these.
Wow.
If I'm
And
gonna be
someone found
haunted by
two?
anything, I hope it's a lobster.
Oh my God, that'd be like the weirdest ghost. I'm like, why are my ankles all like red and scratchy? And you hear like, and that's just a lobster.
Yeah.
The next photo. Now, this lobster lives in an aquarium, and his name is Lucky. He's a star, but why does he cry in his lonely heart? So he's also an albino. But if you look at him, you can see the blue tint. Now, lobsters do have blue blood. I'll tell you why. In 1 year, I didn't keep it in the notes, and I forget why. But they have blue blood, and
Blue blood, like the same blue blood that horseshoe crabs have? Or will we learn that next year?
I will make a note to learn that next year. But I know they have blue blood for sure. It was probably mentioned, like such and such. Also, horseshoe crabs are terrifying. I've learned to appreciate
But like
them.
so cool.
Well, and they're again like dinosaur level in terms of how long they've been around.
Yeah. Isn't our blood kind of blue before it comes out, before it oxidizes? Or is that just the color of the
It's not
veins?
blue. It looks blue through your skin.
It's darker.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
it's just like it's the color of the red that gives it that blue tinge, which is why if you're making fake blood, you always have to add a little bit of blue to the red to give it that more like
More
purpley
realistic
kind of-
blood.
Yeah,
Because we know where to get real blood. yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, no, so it does kind of have that because it depends how oxidized it is in the blood stream already, depending on how blue it kind of comes out.
Okay. So I'm not a lobster is what you're saying.
That we know of. There's still,
sorry.
I still have a few more things to go through. So
That's still up for debate. I don't really know your dad that well, so maybe
He could have been a lobster.
maybe he's part lobster.
Zoidberg.
It's, yeah.
Listen, you brought up the human element lobster, so that's not me. So Lucky, who I think personally is like just the prettiest thing ever. We'll have these photos on the website and on Instagram, or if you're watching YouTube, hi, you can look at them right now because they're probably on the screen. So
It's right down there.
it's there, or maybe it's here.
No, other side. Other side. Right. Or no, down other corner. Yeah, right there.
Or maybe Chantel wants to put it right on my face right now. I don't know.
There we go. Oh,
But yeah, the lobster is a beautiful. It looks kind of like opalescent, kind of like the inside of a clam shell. It's stunning. Another similar kind of colored lobster is called the cotton candy shell, also called pastel.
Ooh.
This lobster, her name is Hattie. Like,
Is this the next one?
yeah, it has a little friend in the photo. So
Okay.
it's also called pastel, which I think the other one looks more pastel. But
It does,
but
yeah.
very, very similar, called cotton candy. There's some pink tint, mostly blue, but you can see some pink kind of mixed in, and just a very pretty looking lobster. The next photo is a classic blue shell lobster. There is I don't know, is it a vodka?
pretty.
A vodka brand or an alcohol company or liquor company?
I think it's vodka because they normally do it's like a
Spritzer thing?
yeah.
So there's a company, not a sponsor, however, match made in heaven.
Get at us.
I think they're called Blue Lobster Vodka, and I think they're from Halifax, and that's kind of their whole shtick. That's their logo, Blue Lobster. And this is a one.
Is that because there's more blue lobster in Nova Scotia, or is it just like?
Well, I'll mention that in a little bit. I don't know
Okay.
what the odds are, but a blue lobster will occur 1 in 1 to 2 million. But
Wow.
these are the ones, I mean, 1 to 2 million sounds like a lot, but some of the other ones are 100 million. So these are
wow.
effectively more common, although still not common. We have Lord Stanley, who was caught in 2019 in Massachusetts. We have Lucky Blue, who was caught in 2022 in Maine. And very recently, a small blue lobster, unnamed, was found off of Little River, Nova Scotia. Sound familiar? We had my bachelorette there on that beach.
Yeah.
So a little blue lobster was caught just off the coast of where we had a
the
great
home
time at
of
the beach.
Home of Megan.
So just a
Yeah, that's right.
question.
Yeah.
Did they check his passport? Are we sure it's not the same lobster that we're catching in all these different places?
Now, because the other two were named, I have to assume that they are secure.
tagged or something.
But how would they know? Oh, yeah, probably a tag. You're right.
But is it like a crime family situation? Probably. I would say.
yeah.
Uh, I like where your head's at, though.
crossing
You
borders.
gotta check those passports. My God, that's
Yeah.
one of the funniest.
That'd be quite
like,
the
AI
distance
art.
travels.
I mean,
I mean, if you got nowhere else to be,
like they're not incredibly
not?
fast. So it's like, how long?
but I mean, do you go into how old they live to be? Because
That'll be for next year. But
oh, okay,
if they are kept well, either in a tank in an aquarium, they can live for like upwards of 100 years sometimes.
oh, okay. I thought it was like 75. So yeah, that's even more
in
impressive.
the ocean. The average is 45 to 55, but 100% yes, you
okay.
can find a lobster that's older than your oldest grandparent. So what I've read, and by the time we get to this next year, I'll probably have more info. But essentially, it's when they are molting, so when they're shedding their shell. That's how most of these crustaceans grow. They outgrow their shell, just like snake skin. The old shell kind of, I hate that word, but sloths off. What's that? How you say it?
Schloss.
I hate it.
Yeah.
It's like when it comes off in pieces. Yeah.
So the shell falls off, and then underneath they're very, very soft and quite squishy, but then it does develop into a hard shell, and they're bigger and badder.
spiders do
Does
the
it
same
take a
thing.
long
They, like,
time?
shake out of their skin.
Does it take a long time for the shell to harden the second time?
No, I don't think so. I will again
Okay.
have
Because
more
they're so
info.
vulnerable, I guess.
But essentially that's the point in time when lobsters do die. It's when either they get stuck in their shell, for whatever reason they can't break out of it, or someone's like, look at that delicious fresh crustacean, and then ta-da. But like next year, guys, that'll be a cool episode. You're not gonna get that today. Sorry. So the next photo I have is a calico lobster, 1 in 30 million.
wow.
Eve was caught in
Oh,
2019, and this lobster is Freckles. Doesn't say where Freckles is from, but Freckles is super cute. So it looks like a
Got a
classic.
barnacle on them.
Yeah, it does. The narrows little eye. So calico lobster, really, it looks like a standard lobster, but it's a lot darker. So some of the claws almost look
Yeah.
completely black, or like a
Right.
black green.
It's kind of
color.
like Halloween colors.
Lindsay,
Ooh,
funny you should
yes.
mention that. I have something coming out that you're both gonna really like.
Oh,
Okay.
The next photo is a bright orange lobster. So this is how lobsters normally look almost when they're cooked, like more red,
Yeah.
but this lobster is bright.
He's alive?
This guy's alive. His name is Cheddar.
Oh.
And another one named
He
Biscuit
does look like a cheesy.
was caught in Florida and Mississippi. So Cheddar is from Florida and Biscuit's from Mississippi. An orange lobster occurs one.
Biscuit
in
looks
30
like
million.
he's been through something. He's missing some legs,
Maybe they're just tucked in
part of the tail.
Well, he was saved from a red lobster. He was going to be eaten, and he was saved.
At Red Lobster, the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So all our best to Cheddar. So
And
I
to Biscuit.
living his best life.
I don't have photos of all of these, but you also have split color lobsters, red lobsters, like we mentioned, and this one.
Oh yeah, the ones that are straight down the middle. I've seen those ones.
Super cool.
Those are cool.
This one
That
is
is really
yellow. Yellow is very rare. 1 in every 30 to 50 million.
Oh, wow.
I've never seen a yellow lobster in my life.
no.
Oh wait, was the yellow one the?
Yes,
thought that
the
was
yellow one looks like
Biscuit.
he's missing legs. No.
Oh, yeah.
Right, I
yeah,
thought
the
that
yellow-
was Biscuit.
No, Biscuit or Cheddar. Cheddar's above. Cheddar is just the orange one.
Okay, I thought you
So
meant and
you're
then
on the
Biscuit, and
yellow
then I
one.
went on the yellow one. And I was like, that must be
I
Biscuit.
felt like, do you want to see two identical photos of an orange lobster? You get the idea, right? So
Okay.
that photo.
No, but
So yeah,
I get what you're saying. now,
Cheddar
where he
looks
looks like he's
very
missing legs.
healthy.
yeah, this yellow lobster
intact.
has been in a fight.
Biscuit or like yellow lobster, not Biscuit. Yellow
'Kay.
lobster just looks
No,
like
don't
he's been
change
through
photos
something.
because I want to tell you a little bit about this one. So this is my favorite. 1 in 100 million is how often this color will occur. It was found in 2012 in
Wait, are
Massachusetts.
you talking about a yellow one or a new one?
Don't change the photo. This is the next.
I'm not changing it.
Saw
I'm
the
asking
yellow
what
one.
you're talking
This is a
about.
new one. A new one.
Oh, okay.
So
'Kay.
this style of shell, it is a split color. 1 in 100 million, found in 2012 in Massachusetts. His name was Pinchy, which is like from The Simpsons. Chasey laugh. He was caught by a Salem resident, and he's called the Halloween lobster because he's half black and half orange.
So it can
That's
switch.
Yes,
perfect.
and it's glorious.
Oh my god.
It's the coolest thing ever.
He
That is so cool.
is amazing. And so, what causes this exact split? Do you
Just like a
know?
genetic thing. It's nothing that he did wrong. He is right
You
with
can
God.
see it in a lot of other animals too. Like there's cats that
And
have that
dogs.
where they have like and dogs where it's like they'll have a different color eye and it's like one half is black and one half is like calico.
And the weirdest thing is that it looks like someone just took a ruler and really divided a line.
It
right down the
does.
middle.
It literally looks like somebody cooked half this lobster and then they were like, just kidding, which would be torture for him. But like,
Yeah.
that's what it looks
Is
like.
this lobster in an aquarium?
Yeah, so all the
or-
ones that I've
okay.
showed you, except for
Yeah.
the yellow one, because I'd have no info on that guy, are safe in an aquarium, probably being fed, more than they've ever been fed in their lives. Hopefully they live there for years. You guys remember the museum in Halifax that had Gus the tortoise?
Yes.
he's
Yes,
like
I
pushing-
still have him.
Gus is still there.
Yeah.
Have.
I saw
Have.
Gus a couple weeks ago.
and he's like pushing
We reunited.
120. Like he's old.
He's
Did your kids
100.
love Gus?
He's 102, or I think, 102.
Did
As
your
of
kids love Gus?
Yes, they were very curious about him. So I took their picture with Gus. I'm like, he was, around when mommy was 102 on August 9th, Megan. I just saw him.
Yeah, he's 102. Well,
Yeah.
I liked it better when I said he was 120. It sounded more impressive. But 100 years is still impressive.
And I even got, let me show you.
Did you get Gus?
This
Gus
is just
merch?
YouTube, but yeah.
Oh, cute.
And then we have Gus little stickers for
Oh,
everyone
did he
listening.
sign that himself?
Obviously.
Gus has excellent
Obviously.
penmanship.
He does. He's had a lot of years to practice, so that
Yes.
makes sense.
Yeah, I mean 102, and he probably learned to write a really beautiful, flourishy way.
Yeah.
How I write's kind of like kindergartner chicken scratch, depends, or like teacher.
I have a mixture of
it goes,
printing and
it
writing.
goes. Yeah, me too. It goes all over
Yeah.
the place.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, so
But
those are
anyway,
just
you want to
some-
see Gus, you can go to Halifax to the Natural History
Mm-hmm.
Museum and you can check him out. He's still there.
Yeah, there's lots of taxidermy, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
It's still
Yeah,
kinda
actually, they
cool.
have a narwhal exhibit now, which is new.
That's pretty
So
Ooh.
it seems cool. There's a lot of, like, I could have had, I think, more interactive elements for the kids. 'cause they
Except
were
for the
kinda
touch
like,
and
I don't
feel
wanna read.
over in the water section.
They have like a little boat that kids can play on now. So that's
pretty
that's
cute.
cool. Yeah. And then they
Is the
have
museum
like amphibians and stuff that they can check out, which
That's true.
they also really liked.
That's good, yeah. Is the Museum of Natural History the one that has the or no, it's the maritime exhibit that has the touch and feel tank, right?
That's
And, like,
that's
So
the one
they-
that's near the commons. They have a touch and
Yeah,
feel.
they.
I don't
the
think the one
Natural
does.
History Museum has a tank still, but it's no longer touch and feel. It's more a
What?
look and observe.
No,
tank.
I'd like to touch.
I mean, to be
I
fair,
know,
we
I know, I
probably
know.
wasn't great that we were doing that, and there's probably a lot of kids squeezing the fuck out of that sea
Yes,
cucumber.
I know.
Like,
So it was probably just to be. It was probably for the benefit of the animals that stopped, or maybe they do
Yeah.
special times where like there's enough staff to supervise. Maybe I don't know, but it was definitely no more touch. but
listen,
still a
when you,
tank.
when you think about it, it's pretty brutal that we're just like kidnapping these sea creatures and just like squeezing them. Like that doesn't sound good.
we're putting them in this tiny tank, and we're telling kids to go and touch
When
them.
you put it like that,
yeah.
okay,
Do you
it sounds
remember-
really not okay.
When we were, I don't know if this happened in elementary school, we had the little baby chicks and
I
we
did
were
that
able to
too.
touch them and play with them. And they stopped doing that because a lot of them would die because they're being handled. Not the children were, trying to hurt them, of course. It was just
No, they
so
just
much
don't know.
handling or like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's actually like a law now that you can't sell, like you can't like, sell little baby chicks for purpose of fun Easter activities.
I feel
They're,
like
we
we
an
were the
animal,
last.
so-
We are the last great generation of all that weird shit that they really shouldn't have done, but like
Right.
definitely did it.
Yeah.
I was never in a classroom that had the chicks, but I remember in second grade, the other classroom had it, and we were allowed to go over for one day and see all the chicks. I don't think I held one. I can't remember. I remember they were letting you hold them, like, because you would hold them upside down, you put them underneath the lamp so they stayed warm. They were
So
like, make sure you
cute.
don't take them out of the light. And I remember that, but I don't think I held one myself. But
I mean, so
Anyways.
my class had the chicks, and like they pooped on you 24/7. And actually,
amazing.
this is my like claim to fame. My mom still brings it up. So our class wrote a book about it, and it was like a kid's book, and like most of the artwork was mine. Just saying. And then I was also
Wow,
on the
I'm
radio.
not surprised though.
Like it's a small town. I mean, I've
Yeah.
been in the newspaper like 8 times. Like Sydney needs to just get more stuff happening because
Yeah,
And more people.
and more.
I know I was I know I was on like the local news before for like a school thing or
So
something
cute.
like that. I know.
Like, do
they
people
had the
still do
spots
that?
available.
I feel like there's so much real shit going on that they're like not doing.
I
this
can't
cute stuff.
imagine there's much spots.
I
for
was
fun.
in a newspaper ad
Oh,
for my
Ooh.
uncle's. It was my uncle's. and
Oh, so
his wife at
nepotism.
the time.
Get it.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was nepotism for sure. That's why I got hired. It was me and his daughter.
I earned
the
my
newspaper-
spot just by being cute, the old-fashioned way.
It was for if he had a don't come at me fur coat company.
He's like, let me get these two children to model for me.
I mean, we were like 13 or something, 13 or 14. He was just like, I just need somebody in a picture
wear the coat.
in the paper. Just wear the coats.
Okay, well, someone tracked that
My
down.
grandmother kept it. My grandmother
Of
kept
course.
like a
Okay.
piece of it. Yeah, she was like, oh, my granddaughter's
Write in. Were you ever in your town's newspaper or radio or
Yeah.
local news?
And for what? Hopefully it was a good thing.
Yeah. If it's for murder, even better.
Yeah.
That will be our next
I
case.
just thought about the worst case scenario that you'd be in the news, and I was like, wait, maybe I should walk this back a little bit. Okay,
mean, still
no, we
tell
wanna
us.
know it all.
We're just
We want your dirty laundry.
Speaking
Yeah.
of hometowns, like, did you get into some shit? Edit, cut all,
Rogue husband.
and we're back. So, wasn't that fun? All that lobster talk.
Mhm.
I'm gonna
I love
I'm gonna pull 180 on the mood right now. It's gonna be bad.
Okay.
So this case happened in 2013. I would say my neck of the woods. It is in Cape Breton, but it's in an area that I'm not super familiar with. So I'm going to kind of set the scene a little bit and just know that the case, when it was fresh, was called Lobster for Murder, which isn't very sensitive.
Lobster for murder?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Listen, I didn't write this. Probably like a local paper did. Okay.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
because I was going to say,
I'm getting the sense of the motive from
Yeah.
the title.
Yeah. I was going to do a play on like dial M for murder, but in like dial L for lobster, but murder's also, and it's on my dial LM, and it just fell apart. And that's why I'm not a writer. So on the morning of June 1st, 2013, around 6:30 a.m., Phillip Boudreau's small red and white speedboat, Midnight Slider, was found battered and adrift on Petit-de-Grat. Lindsay, you're the French one. It's spelled like G-R-A-T. Petit-de-Grat.
Gras.
Gras. That's
I
what
think,
I thought. That
yeah.
was what my gut said. I'm going to restart that sentence because I butchered it. Was found battered and adrift on Petit-de-Grat Harbor in Ile Madame, Nova Scotia. So this is the southeastern part, right as you're kind of going over the causeway to get onto the island. So it's on the ocean side, southeast.
Okay.
So they see his boat, but Boudreau is nowhere to be seen. Picture one is that boat. So it's just a very, very simple speedboat.
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
It's
Like-
tiny.
I don't know anything about boats, but it kind of looks like a kit that you could probably order from a Sears catalog and put together at home.
Is that like cracked in the back?
Yes,
I love
it is.
Got attacked.
It is cracked.
Looks like it got hit.
There's no motor. It's all scuffed on the outside.
Oh, yeah. There's no motor.
This is exactly how it was found.
Yep. Yeah, this is how it was found in the water. Now, the boat looked bad. Of course, they probably didn't know how bad it looked because it was still in the water. It's not until they take it out they can really see. And also, it wasn't the first time that Boudreau had disappeared. Often, he'd evade the local police or fellow fishermen for days or even weeks at a time when he was caught stealing. Not if, when he was caught stealing. And this
Stealing
happened
what?
pretty often.
How are you going to find out?
You're going to find out. I mean, the case is called Murder for Lobster. So that's kind of one hint.
Well, maybe that was the only thing that he was stealing.
No one thought it was very odd when he was missing at first. So then picture two is the man himself, Phillip Boudreau. He went by Bowser.
Toronto Maple Leafs fan, I see.
Listen, when you're from the East, it's either the Canadians or it's Toronto. So he just picked his camp, and that's who he's with. Although I guess there could be Canucks, but really when you're in the East, it's like these are your two options.
Right.
So later that evening on the same day, a very informal search had found his rubber boots and baseball hat on the shore, but no Phillip. Most folks were not too worried, to be honest. Not many people liked Phillip. I mentioned he was often on the run from the cops for stealing. He was also the kind of guy who would threaten to burn down your house if he had a grudge. And with no fishing license, no lobster fishing license, I should say, he would steal your lobsters, sell them, and then tell you to your face that he'd done it.
Oh,
Kind
sounds like a great guy.
Kind of, yeah, not maybe a stellar
No,
move.
I mean,
or-
that's not a good neighbor for sure.
right.
He once stole an ATV, which is an all-terrain vehicle for those that aren't from the country. He then told the victim who he sold it to in case he wanted to buy it back.
Okay, so
Buy it back.
Yeah, so he sold someone's ATV that he stole, kept the money.
not
and
the
said,
most
"By the
ethical
way,"
person we've ever met, for sure.
and I would say, like,
But still
honest,
a businessman.
not a very good businessman. And then it gets a little bit darker. There were even some sexual assault charges that were brought against him, but they did not result in any conviction, even though he had already a very lengthy criminal record of over 80 charges. 80. And this is a small town, y'all. Like Nova Scotia, again, has what, like 1 million people total? So, like, this is a small fishing village, and he's doing all of this in his small town.
Yeah,
Like,
I can
did
see
he,
why
like, hurt
people
everybody?
weren't rushing to find him.
And that was kind of the consensus. I'll go into a little bit, but it's kind of like you're in a small town where it's not only, you know, borrow a cup of sugar. Oh, do you have any spare gas? It's like, you know, it takes a village. Everyone knew each other. There were 3 prominent families that had descendant from the 1700s. So everyone knew each other. Everyone's a cousin of someone. Don't read too much into that. That's not what I'm trying to get at. I'm just saying small fishing town was
This is in Cleopatra.
yeah, I mean, although there probably could be a touch. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to take that back. Edit that out just in case y'all come for me.
Keeping it in. Come for Megan.
God
I'll tell you
damn
where
it.
she lives.
Now, you know, we always, I think the 3 of us especially believe in this, and most people I would imagine that every quote unquote bad person was brought up as a little baby and was taught things, learned things, saw things, things happened to that person. And sometimes that does impact how they act out.
Act, view life.
It does not mean that everyone that goes through a bad life
what they're owed.
becomes a bad person. It does not mean that everyone that has a great life becomes a great person. It just kind of depends. So there is evidence that he was abused as a child. There's even reports that his own father told his elementary school teacher that he beat him up with a 2x4 as a child.
Wait, so he beat the child up with
Yeah. So his own father
Jesus.
told the teacher, you know, I guess maybe to explain away something, but as a child he was being like regularly abused at home.
So we're
He was
not
also
surprised that
no, he was also
this is where he ended up in life.
illiterate, illiterate, and he was unable to have a legitimate working life without much support. There's also some evidence later on. I didn't put this in because I didn't really want to go down that road, but he could also have some mental illness. People were saying that we had, I quote, the bipolar disorder. I don't know, like it's not called the bipolar, but anyway. So he just had a lot going on. Doesn't excuse, but maybe it explains kind of how someone could get here. But all in all, he was rough to have around. I mean, it's hard to have sympathy, you, the individual, when he's fucking with you 24/7, stealing your shit, breaking in.
Of course.
He was breaking into sheds, you know, cars, just kind of being a nuisance in general.
Very
So it's, yeah, still sad, but also I can see how people would be like,
He
not
wasn't-
jumping to
right.
his defense, you know?
No, but he wasn't
Right.
dealt a great deck.
Not at all.
A hand.
and nothing happened in his life to try to get beyond that, or
No, and this,
it's up to him too to make
Yeah.
some changes, but he didn't have any of those support systems to
from a small
help
town
him.
like this, I don't even think you're aware of the tools that exist. You know, like if you're in a
No.
city.
Well, and what year was this?
2013.
2013 is the time of this event. He was 43 when he died.
Listen, there wasn't a whole lot of things around at that time that were as easily accessible as they are now too for help
2013
with
seems like
mental health
yesterday,
issues.
but I know it's not. Just
But like more so in 2013. But I mean, he's 43 in 2013, so we're going back.
Yeah,
to
you're kind of past the
early
point.
2000s. We're going
Yeah.
to the 90s. Like
mental
no,
health
there's
has
not as
come
much
even a long
there.
way in the last 10 years to like
and it's still
a
nowhere
lot
where it
to
should
still
be.
do, right?
Yeah.
So I can imagine 2013 was still not great.
No,
Especially, like you said, in a small town.
in small towns where people are not, like if anyone's different, they're kind of kicked out of the community. If anyone's kind of weird, they're ignored. It's just not, even if he needed help, it's unlikely he would have got what he needed to be more productive. And, also it's systemic. If his father is beating a child, it's very likely that the father also, had stuff happening to him. And also based on just the age, it could have been like a post World War II kind of thing. And that, it just
generational trauma.
Exactly. So not good. On the same day, so his name is Bernard Sampson. FYI, there's going to be a lot of French names. I just want to apologize in advance for not pronouncing these French names correctly.
Megan is not French.
No,
If you haven't picked up on it yet.
I know my mom's last name is French, and that's about as far as it goes. So Bernard Sampson said the normally rough seas on that day were so still you could pass a razor straight over its surface. He's the man that found the boat floating kind of adrift. He went on to say the water was right dead and calm. It was a nice damn day, clear. You could see anything. I just love the whole right dead.
That's a very Scotian.
I know.
Cape Breton accent.
I know. It's
I
a
had
sad context, but it makes me smile.
I had a Cape Bretoner as a patient at work the other day, and I was like, I love this.
It's just
like, I love this accent. I was like, I also love that I can talk fast. Finally,
and they get it.
They get it. I don't have to slow down. I don't have to repeat myself. Like, it's great.
Like, I don't think I could listen to our podcast at anything other than one, because would I even know what I'm saying? Probably not.
I try to sometimes because I'm just like, okay, I'm going to put this at my normal. Like, sometimes I listen to other podcasts at 2. And then when I put them back to 1, I'm like, damn, you're that slow?
I think I listened to 1.5 or 1.75.
1.8 is my typical. Sometimes it's 2 if I'm like, okay, I know I can get through this. But with ours, like you're saying, on the 1.5, I'm like, damn, we talk fast.
I have a confession. I usually listen to podcasts on just for normal speed.
I don't know how you do that. I can't handle it.
It takes me a lot longer, I guess.
I just feel like people speak slowly on purpose, and bless them for doing it. I'm not capable.
Yeah.
I would that would take way too much brain power for me to slow down. So if you have us at, 0.75, I thank you for accommodating. I cannot go any slower than this. And this is me trying really hard
to enunciate.
Right. Yeah. All my words are connected by a little, they're just, it's all one.
Okay. AI hasn't
It's really hard for editing sometimes.
I know.
It's how trying to give
we
us
all
our
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all do it, and it's like okay, well, I want to cut out this part, especially for like reels and things. I'm like, I want to cut it here, and I'm like, but we just blend that right into the next sentence. Like,
yeah, the blending of words is very strong with us.
Yeah. So sorry
Okay,
for that.
Sorry.
Sorry. Canadian. Sorry.
Yes. For American listeners, sorry.
Oh, so I can't even pretend. Sorry. No, see, I can't do it. It's
I don't know how they do it. I don't. And they're like,
if you
they
want to
think I say it
giggle,
weird.
if you want to giggle, sing Justin Bieber's "Sorry" song with the Canadian accent, and it just ruins it for you. Can you sing in your head?
Okay. I mean, I thought he said it.
Say sorry. It just doesn't work.
No,
just me.
Oh yeah.
Edit that out, please. Take that out. That wasn't funny.
So Justin Bieber had to Americanize that song.
Yeah, but he's been in all that stuff for a long time, so I'm sure his default now is the American. Anyway, wow.
And they probably he recorded it, and they're like, actually, can you record it but say it?
Can you say it normal? Say it like
can you
normal
say it
for us
American?
Americans?
Yeah.
I don't know where
you
it
want to
was.
be famous, you'll say it like an American.
Yeah.
That always reminds me of the Family Guy, Mickey Mouse. Exactly. The fact that you knew exactly. It's just so disturbing. Number one, it's a cartoon and it's sexual assault. Anywho, back to this case here. So,
Great thing to laugh at.
where even was I? He went on to say the water was right dead and calm. It was a nice damn day. Clear. You could see anything. It was at that time he spotted the waterlogged and cracked boat. As Bernard circled the nearly sunk boat, he found a floating gas tank and some green rope. He pulled up the rope. It was attached to an anchor. At that time, he called the Coast Guard in Halifax, which is almost 200 kilometers to the southeast, but it's on the same side, so I guess that's who you have to call.
Yeah.
And then since his GPS was not working at the time, he dropped a lobster trap to kind of mark the location. By 6:55 a.m. a radio distress call was sent out for all mariners to be on the lookout for a man overboard. Because clearly they find a boat, they find no man. So you're assuming now they're going to start a search. Right. So back in town, and being a small town, the rumor mill was very hard at work. Many folks had assumed that karma finally caught up with Bowser, the moniker that Phillip went by. That was his like childhood nickname.
Oh,
Bowser.
okay.
Do they say why?
Yeah, I didn't put it in, but
Bowser
his brother
isn't like
the
nicest character.
Okay, there's a
No.
did I cut it out? His brother gives an interview and says that essentially the two of them were just getting into trouble 24/7 when they were kids. And one time he actually accidentally shot Phillip in the head with a BB gun. And his dad was like, "Oh, you two kids, you're nothing but a couple of Bowsers." And that's just, Phillip was okay. Like, or maybe that impacted him. I don't know.
It's a BB gun.
I just thought they played like Super Mario or something.
They would have been, I guess they would have been that age, but that probably is where it came from. Like rough and tough, like these crazy kids. So Bowser. Oh, also there was another fisherman called Phillip Boudreau, and they liked him more. So this Phillip went by Bowser.
I mean, it sounds like the bar was low. So
Yeah.
Well, imagine
The bar is low for Phillip.
Imagine you have two Phillip Boudreaux, and you have a great guy, and then you have this guy. So Phillip got to keep his name. Our Phillip went by his nickname. But here's where it gets kind of interesting. The RCMP received a tip that another local fishing boat called Twin Maggie's, which is picture 6, had come into the harbor late that morning with black and red scuff marks on their otherwise pristine starboard side, which is the right side of the boat. If you don't watch below deck, it's the right side. It was also common knowledge that the Twin Maggies carried either a rifle or a shotgun aboard.
Okay.
Just a little bit of scuttlebutt. On June 2nd, which is the day after, the RCMP interviewed the crew. This was Dwayne Sampson, James Landry, and Craig Landry. Yes, they are related. I'll tell you how. By June 8th, all 3 men would be charged with second-degree murder. So this is like just
a
over
few days
week.
later. Yeah.
So here's everyone's connected. The captain of the Twin Maggies is Dwayne Sampson. He's aged 43, or at the time he was age 43. He owned the boat with his wife Carla, who was 37. Carla inherited the license, the Lobster license, from her dad, who was James Landry. And Craig Landry is a cousin of James. So like a third cousin to the daughter. Daughter's not really involved. Like she's lightly involved, but she
wasn't there for
and she wasn't charged with anything, didn't do any jail time, but she's like small town, and you'll find out what happened. So her name came up, but I thought you should know kind of who's who. So picture 3 is Dwayne. He's the captain. He owns the boat.
Okay, the one in the striped shirt.
Yes, striped shirt.
Okay.
Picture 4, I mean, spoiler, I said they got arrested. So picture 4 is James. Notice the gleeful look on his face.
Yeah.
He's also
in a juice box.
A juice box. And then Craig is in the beautiful cobalt blue button down.
Oh, that is a great color.
That is the cousin. Craig, he's kind of the reason why everything came out extremely fast, because the first one to tattle gets the best deal. So to say that the murder and arrest of these 4 locals, because Phillip was also a local, to say it was shocking was an understatement. I mean, when things happen, even in Mississauga where I am, if it's in my neighborhood, it just, that could have been me, or did I know that person? So this
that would have spread like wildfire there.
Yeah, this is a very, very small town. I should have looked it up. I think it's a couple hundred people. It might be 1,000. Okay. I'll look it up, and I'll put it in right here. Chantel, figure it out.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, sorry. For those that are just listening, I'm holding my hands up, and she's going to edit the numbers in like a magician.
You know what? After you listen to this, you can go and watch the video to find that.
Right here.
That extra view.
Right. I know you want to hear it twice.
Well, see it for the first time, too.
See it for the first time. That's right.
Maybe you have no idea what we look like. You can go find out.
What if we're all trolls and we're unmarried in our 40s? What if
We
that's
are.
true.
That's 100%.
We're never going to drop that one comment because it still was engagement. So like, really?
It's our
we,
favorite.
We still won.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite comment so far.
It was pretty good. I also saw one that said, here's another 3 reasons to skip this video. I'm like, but you commented, dude. You commented. And so I liked it and I gave it a heart.
Did you screenshot it?
But
need to
you know,
screenshot
like
it.
most of the time those happen, they're not like even real accounts.
Are they Russian
Oh, and they're not
bots?
even like listening. They're not even listening. They're
They're not listening. They're not real. It's fine.
They're all a figment of our imagination.
that's why I love it.
Sorry, I'm still coughing from that stupid, maybe not COVID thing that I had. Anyway,
I thought you did have COVID.
I did, but this is not it. This is something different.
Oh,
just
that was the thing that happened
Another
immediately
form
after
of
COVID.
sickness that poor Megan has.
Just super
suffered
rude. I know.
through.
I'm not traveling for a long time. I want to just be safe in my bubble. I'm just gonna restart that whole sentence because I don't know where I was. You don't have to edit it.
Okay.
Like, where was I?
Perfect.
Yeah. So the people of the local villages were also split in their feelings on the events. We kind of talked about how Philip, was kind of a rascal, but then we're also empathetic and kind of see maybe why he was behaving that way. But it still impacted how everyone felt about him. If you're going to be a
Right.
bully, people are not going to like you. However, the crew of the Twin Maggies, they were well liked, respected, law abiding. So people were kind of
Before this,
well, yeah, just that one little murder. Other than that, though,
that one little hiccup.
Just one
other than that, they were
murder.
super
Fine.
nice. They were nice guys. Some of the locals saw it as a case of when good, decent people are bullied and pushed over and over and pushed to the edge. These same people said that Philip just got what was coming to him eventually, and it was karma. Seems a little harsh, man. Especially when I get into how he was killed.
Oh no.
On the other side of the same coin, some saw him as a man who had a rough childhood and only did what he was taught, only did what he could to survive. Doesn't mean that it's fair to everyone else, but I just think you kind of understand.
Or right.
Yeah.
That it happens.
But you kind of see where he's coming from. So while others thought that his murder would have happened years ago, same people in the neighborhood would then hide him from the cops. So it truly was like, some thought he was like the Robin Hood, that, wascally wabbit. And some thought he was like just putting a huge stain on their small town and gave everyone a bad name. I lost my spot. Here I am.
Are you drunk, Megan?
No, it's just water. He was a
Straight vodka.
He was a small-time thief whose antics made him more of a rascal and good for a laugh, local gossip. He would turn up to dances, and he used to be dancing by himself. And he's like, I'm dancing with everyone.
I love
And then
that.
he'd be like, oh, I just stole your beer out of your truck. Haha. Like, wink. Like, it's not like, oh, Bowser, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Some people said he was just trying to get attention, trying to make it in the world. And that really, when it came down to it, no one deserved to be killed in this way. Ugh, I almost don't want to get
You're
into it.
really about to bring us down.
And now
is
I need to know.
Thank God my weed oil is kicking in.
So, ironically enough, BuzzFeed they have some pretty decent journalists. Like, I'm sure you've read a few articles here and there, and they're mostly silly.
I like BuzzFeed
There's
articles.
some
They're
really decent writers
entertainment-
at work.
some good entertainment value there too.
Oh yeah, some is for fun, but then some you can tell are just trying to like cut their teeth and like they're actually quite good. So this is from a BuzzFeed article, which I was surprised that who would even cover this. Like maybe he was from Canada, I don't know. Right. So and this will all be in the show notes too if you want to look up this article. Upon receiving a distress signal, crews are obligated to proceed with all speed to render assistance. Yet on June 1st, 2013, the morning that Philip went missing, very few fishermen stopped to search for him, and it's believed that his body drifted away. Kind of what we said. No one jumped to even attempt to look. So here's what went down June 1st, 2013. Twin Maggies headed out around 4:30 a.m. to start hauling their traps. It's a tough life being a lobster fisherman. They were hard at work when they noticed some of their traps had been cut. So I think I go through this, but essentially there is a buoy. All buoys are different based on whose boat they belong to. The buoy is attached to a rope, attached to a trap. You hook the line, pull up the trap, take the lobster out. We're all smart people. I think people probably get it. But I just, when it's cut, it means that they go to where their marker should be and their buoy's floating aimlessly and there's no trap.
Yeah.
English. as they turn around
So
the
someone
bend,
not only stole their lobster, they stole the entire trap.
no, just the lobsters.
Oh.
But now the trap is stuck
Oh.
at the bottom of the ocean, and who's
can't get it
who's going to
back.
go down there and
Oh,
get
but
it?
so they cut the line
He
of the
pulls it
trap
up,
and they
takes the
assume
lobster,
it.
and then cuts it like an asshole. That is kind of a happen. Like
that's
just
just
the lobsters
I
out.
assume you meant he like stole the traps for his. So he
No,
could make them
look at the
own
size of his
traps.
boat. You could not fit maybe like one or
maybe
two
a couple,
traps,
I guess.
trap, yeah.
Right.
because they're not like the old school ones that we see.
So he's
Like,
just
they're
doing
bigger.
it to be an asshole.
He's stealing,
Yeah.
but he's also an asshole about
He's
it.
vandalizing.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
if the car door is open, you could just open the car and steal the stuff, but you could also break the window because you're an asshole.
Why not just break the window?
So as the twin Maggies turns around a bend, they spot a small black and red speedboat, Midnight Runner, and on it, Phillip Boudreau was busy cutting their traps and stealing their lobsters. Literally,
Oh my god! So he was like in the middle of it.
literally
They
caught
caught him in the act. Wow.
So James Landry is just one of the crew. He's not the captain, but he's, he originally owned the license and he works on this boat still. He had claimed the twin Maggies had already lost over 30 lobster traps that season, worth thousands of dollars. This is their only method of income, okay? So this is a big deal.
Yeah.
Philip's own brother, Gerard, we know a Gerard, had called James a day or two before, telling him that he saw his brother out near the twin Maggie's traps, likely cutting the trap. So his own brother is kind of like ratting on him. Court transcripts show that Craig said, and Craig is also on the boat, said that Dwayne spotted something in Mackerel Cove and said it must be Philip playing with the traps again. This was said in French, and that's what everyone spoke in that area. James said that Philip had threatened him multiple times. I'm going to burn your house. I'm going to burn your shed. That's what he said, James explained. He was in front of us, hauling our pots, waving the knife. So just very brazen. Remember, this is a pattern of behavior, though. He would tell you to your face, I stole your ATV, I sold it, here it is. I stole the lawnmower out of your shed and I sold it. So at least he's an honest thief.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why the
He
Robin.
tells on himself.
Very difficult to have this person around when it's like, I can't escape you. Like, you live in the same town I live in.
And now you're right in front of me and I'm watching you cut my traps, which now I can't get the trap
ruining
anymore.
my livelihood.
Exactly. So Dwayne told the crew, load my rifle. Craig said, Dwayne specified to me, put 3 shells in the gun. He's going to get us scared this time. Craig did as he was told, and Dwayne then told James, his father-in-law, to shoot. James fired 3 times, and at the 3rd time, Craig said he saw Philip fall. Boudreau, during this whole time, denied cutting any traps and pleaded with them to stop. He said that they had broken his leg with the gunshot. But James
Oh my god!
It gets worse, you guys. James and Dwayne were not done. After loading the gun again and shooting Philip a 4th time, James grabbed Philip's bow line. See, I know it's boats, but like it's spelled like bow, and I'm a girl.
I get it.
Bow line,
Yeah.
which is the line at the front of the boat.
Right.
James grabbed the bow line, attached it to his own boat, and the goal was to drag Midnight Runner out of Mackerel Cove. And this is where they had most of their traps set. But as the twin Maggies started to move, towing Philip in his boat, Philip crawled over his boat to the bow and cut the line. So he's like, you're not going to drag me, and cut it, so he was free. By the way, very likely, not confirmed, but very likely he is shot in the leg and bleeding right now. So his leg is, kind of a bum leg. Dwayne turned the boat around and slammed directly into Midnight Runner. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. The lobster boat then fully drove over the much smaller skiff. Philip purportedly shot in the leg, like I said. He did survive this initial kind of boat attack. He was left bobbing in the water, clutching onto that gas can that we saw or heard about earlier in the story. And then James goes on to say this, I ran right over him. I wanted to destroy him. I was seeing black. Philip yelled at them to stop, begged for his life. James yelled back, you won't cut any more of our traps. So another quote from the BuzzFeed article. Then James grabbed a long fiberglass pole used to hook the buoys, called a gaff, grabbed Philip by his sweater. The crew left the waterlogged skiff, this is the boat, behind. And then Dwayne went, full motor out towards the open ocean with Phillip attached by this hook.
Oh my God.
Phillip slipped out of his sweater, and Craig remembered it, that underneath he wore just a black t-shirt. Phillip appeared to be free, just floating kind of in the ocean, half naked, treading water, begging for his life. Dwayne turned the boat around again, and this time, Craig said, James hooked Phillip and held his face underwater. When Craig saw Phillip again, his body was limp, and he appeared to be foaming at the mouth.
Oh my God.
Phillip rolled face down, and Dwayne said to get the anchor. Neither of them moved because this is insane now.
Yeah.
Then Dwayne specified, Craig, get the anchor. I went over to the anchor. I tried to lift it, but it was too heavy. I said, Dwayne, I can't lift it. At this point, doesn't say who exactly, but essentially the men tie Phillip's body to the anchor. They check the depth. It is 22 meters or about 73 feet. And they drop Phillip in the ocean, tied to an anchor. So this is
Wow, that is
insane to me.
brutal. And
That guy saw red and just went
Right.
with it.
And I understand that
Yeah.
Phillip drove them to a breaking point. But yeah, he just clearly lost it and out of control. And it's kind of too bad the other guys on the boat couldn't have reeled him in a little bit. Like, I think,
Yeah, and I mean, I think
But
that
it might
he's-
become a mob mentality thing type, right?
This is so not quite the same, but it reminds me of one of like the first CSI episodes that I ever saw, where there was a man on an airplane that was having some kind of like mental medical emergency, and you're in this metal tube, and he was acting so crazy, tried to open the door, and everyone freaked out, and they all collectively killed him by just kind of like stomping him to death. And it's kind of like they were, I think, not afraid that Phillip could hurt them, but in that same sense of just like, enough's enough. And it's terrible. And
It's almost like
The
they
rational
started by
brain
wanting to
scare him.
by showing him, scare him, like,
right.
But then they just went
Once it started,
too
it's like,
far.
he
Couldn't
stop.
himself.
And I think that we've heard about this in murders so much. Like, it's literally a crime of passion. It's kind of what it sounds like. I'm not saying that it's right, but I think it's important to
No.
understand
I mean, there should have been,
psychologically.
ideally, like, I know it's a small town, so it's hard, but, more things done in the first place when people know he's stealing. Like, are there police in this town? Are they
People called
involved?
the
Are
cops
they-
numerous times over
and they didn't.
over.
They just obviously he's out and about. He's not even in jail. He probably should have been in
He's actually
jail,
He's actually escaped
right?
from
He'd be
jail
alive.
numerous times.
Okay.
Oh my
And I just think that people were thinking like nothing that he did was too bad, but it was just the people that lived there was the same thing over and over and over. So all these little things that aren't too bad just kept piling on top of
Right.
each other, and eventually
people
it's
are
like,
gonna
you've had your
lose it.
limit. So
Right.
it's just insane.
What they did to
because
him was terrible, but
The punishment doesn't fit the crime.
it
That's
doesn't
for sure, yeah.
exactly. I understand them acting because at some point you're like, what do I do? Like
like let's just say it like this. Let's say that they had they were maybe already in the harbor and someone saw Phillip at the traps, cutting traps, took photos of it, and they showed the crew. Maybe then outside a bar, he would get the shit kicked out of him, or if they would go to his house, drag him out of his house and beat him up and say like, blah, blah,
I mean,
blah.
also they could have just grabbed taken his boat. Like, why don't you just steal his boat and like sink it so he can't get out to your stuff anymore? I don't know.
But in that moment, I think that it was seeing him in the act, and based on
They saw red.
based on his behavior, I 1,000% believe that he was up to the end an asshole, saying like, I'm stealing. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And then it wasn't until
Might have gone back to it if they,
They
let
showed
him.
him.
yeah, well, 100%. Yeah,
Go.
but Lindsay's right. Like, if they hadn't have done what they did, he would have just gone back to it. And so I just think it's not right, but you can connect the dots and see how they
It
felt
seems
this
like they
way.
were trying to take the law into their own hands as well, because clearly things are happening. Like if somebody is calling you and saying, "Hey, I stole your shit, pay me for it," and you're going to the cops and saying, "Hey, he's outrightly saying this," like why isn't he
Should have.
behind bars?
Well, and also,
They
so, I mean, I am not into guns. Most Canadians are afraid of guns unless you're from like, a northern part of the country where like hunting's normal. But I know it's really common. You do not point a gun at anything, you don't intend to shoot. So I don't believe in this whole scare thing. If anything, I think that they wanted to injure him or shoot his boat to really like say, hey, we are serious. And then when they saw that they actually hit him, I think then it was kind of like, you know, when you're a kid and you hit your sibling, it's like,
We've already gone too
it's
far.
like, don't tell mom, don't tell mom. And so they just overcompensate
and who knows, maybe with his history, maybe he was still mocking them, even thinking like, all right, that's the worst she got. And
I feel like after a gunshot to the leg, he probably wasn't as brave. But I think that at that point, they just thought
maybe not
we've gone this far.
He's been brazen before, so. Or maybe in the moment he's like, I thought I was going to get enough satisfaction of shooting him in the leg, and now I'm just so mad, and
it's all these
not
years
enough.
of it.
And
So and you're right. We won't ever know because we only know their side of the story. This man
and even so, I'll go into it a little bit. But Craig is the one that kind of spilled the beans, and you know, the first one to talk will always paint a picture where they had nothing to do with it, and they were just following orders.
They're just there. Right.
So even then, you don't know the full story.
So
after this has happened, Phillip is tied to this anchor at the bottom of the ocean. As if nothing abnormal had happened that morning, the crew picked up where they left off. They finished hooking their lobster buoys, hauling traps. Craig banded lobster claws. Dwayne drove the boat, and James hooked the buoys. So they just went back into their routine. As they went to shore, they unloaded their haul and went home. Just like nothing had happened.
Hoping that makes no sense.
Well, to me, that is shock, and maybe even denial.
Some shock, but yeah.
So at this,
I mean, like we were even watching something last night, and I was like, you never know how you're gonna react in the situation.
Maybe it's just going through the motions at the time, and
and they
figure out how do we.
And they're assuming that if we just follow along with what we normally do, you know, he could have just fallen off his boat. It's almost like plausible deniability. It's like, I'm just doing my job. I don't know what was going on. And just if you follow all your steps, who's going to think that you're the one that caused him to go missing?
Right.
And I think we all figured this, but at this point, Philip's body still has never been found. They found.
Oh, no, I was actually going to ask because if they put it on an anchor, I thought maybe.
But then don't forget that Bernard from before found the anchor and the rope. No, Philip.
Right.
When the RCMP.
So they probably didn't tie him very well.
And shouldn't they know how? They're lobster fishermen. Anyway.
They've never probably tied a body before.
Well, and I can't imagine that you're thinking logically at this point, and maybe there was some.
And how long after did they find the anchor?
Like the same day.
Oh, okay.
Like that's literally.
Yeah, he must have either come untied then or something.
I think he probably came undone. I don't think that they
Because even if an animal got him, like that would still be part.
Well, and also think about where you were. Like, I mean, yeah, you're in June, but like, there's no what animal would do that in a few hours. I just think it was
that's what I mean. Like,
yeah, no, it's probably a loose.
I know we get like great white sharks, but still, it's unlike they don't even like the taste of humans, so they probably.
No, I just think he probably floated away, and then just speaking of lobsters, maybe.
Right.
Anyway,
he was in a tide at all. Like, yeah, he's gone.
Did the others there like corroborate the story?
I'll get into that a little bit because I go into kind of like how it all unfolded. So at this point, the RCMP has been interviewing these men, and when they said that Boudreau could be lost at sea, James was quoted as saying, "This is so." I think he was still in that dark, evil passenger mode because James said this to the police. I pray you don't find him so he doesn't get put in the cemetery. He doesn't deserve that.
Oh my God.
That's how much anger. I've got chills. That's how much anger he had towards Phillip. He's killed him. And he has, number one, he has no remorse, but he's saying that I hope you don't find his body because he doesn't deserve to be buried in a graveyard.
It's really messed
up. A lot of hate.
Does Phillip have a family?
Yep.
Like, does he, like, he's 40. So there are people that deserve to have have his body, that deserve to have.
Does
him.
he have children?
Whether you think it's Phillip or not, he deserves to have.
I didn't read that he had children, but he had like sisters that loved him, brothers, you know, cousins. Like he was. Yeah, I mean, people, you know, and even some people that thought, you know, he was still kind of like a loser, stealing this and that, still didn't wish him ill. You don't wish
Right.
death
I don't want him
upon
to like
them.
die.
Yeah.
Of course. It's
They just wanted him to not be in their life, but just not wish
okay,
death,
yeah.
which I can understand. Like,
Right.
just can you just not be near me? Like, I wish you well, just not
Right.
in my orbit, please.
Can you be better?
do better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Craig originally came forward to police, he told a version of events involving Phillip being the aggressor, with a thick fog disturbing the visibility. And then soon after, the truth came out. Because if you recall at the beginning, Bernard was like, it was so clear you could bounce a quarter off the ocean. And so they're like, Craig, we can check
Your
the
story's
weather.
not adding up.
We can,
Right.
we can do, it's called science.
There's
or the
apps
internet,
for this
Craig.
now.
So at that point, all men were originally charged with second-degree murder, but the sentences were adjusted during trial. It's never what they first slapped down.
Mm-hmm.
James Landry.
They just want something.
Well, they have to, and also we talked about this, but second degree is like they, I think to be a hunter, to be a fisherman, to have a weapon on board isn't abnormal, because you may have people that try to even do one up than Phillip and try to steal your boat. So I think that doesn't necessarily mean that it was premeditated, because I'm sure a lot of people, or like in the country, they have a gun in their car.
No, and I don't think this was premeditated. This was
No, I think this was, again, crime of passion. Like they intended to do it when they decided, but it wasn't like a thought out plan.
No.
Because again, people are like, oh, I thought this was going to happen to him ages ago. Like that's how bad it was. So at this point, James Landry, who is seen kind of more as like the main aggressor, because he's the one that kind of like did all the dirty work. Now, Dwayne said, do this, do that, that we know of. But even in trial, it didn't come out. Like Craig didn't say, oh, Dwayne said this. And James is his own family. So like, Dwayne is his boss, but Craig is his cousin. So if he's going to sell it as cousin, I think if Dwayne was more involved, he would have said, oh, and Dwayne also. But Dwayne said, load the gun. Dwayne said, shoot him to scare him. But I think that James, it affected him so much more deeply that he just kept going. Like, I don't think anyone said, grab the hook and drag him in. Like, I think that was mostly James. So he was sentenced to 14 years in prison for manslaughter. That's what they agreed. I think that's kind of crazy.
It's crazy.
He was released on probation after serving 3 years.
Wow.
Well, given that people
his-
don't seem to go to prison for doing things, they're
I feel like people get more jail time for like mail fraud.
that's just crazy that he only served 3 years.
He only served 3. And then, it doesn't get any better, because Dwayne Sampson pleaded guilty to manslaughter. He was sentenced to 10 years, and he was released on probation after only serving 2.
Oh my God.
And then Craig, who was the star crown witness, pleaded guilty to accessory after the fact. Sorry, I burped. It's really inappropriate.
How dare you?
He pleaded.
I never burp ever in
pleaded
my
guilty
life.
to accessory after the fact, and he received 2 years probation. So that means no time served at all. So just to kind of wrap it up. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it just seemed like in life and death, no one cared about this man. And yes, he was shitty, but, maybe it just takes a couple right things going well for you to start to potentially change your life around. Just sad that this never happened for him. And I'm not saying his family didn't try. I'm sure,
Well,
like you said, he had family who loved him. And
I mean, there's even
and they
some
probably
stuff-
did their best. It's just
I didn't even get into all of it, but like,
Right.
there's even some rumors that his own brother, like I said, kind of sold him out. There's rumors that his own brother said to James Landry, get rid of Phillip. Like there's rumors.
Yeah.
So
Okay, but it's a small town. I'm sure there's lots of rumors.
and
about
even
different
even
gangs.
within the family, even within the town, at 43 years old, yes, you're capable of change, but it's really, really hard. And no one is responsible other than his parents for how how Phillip was brought up. So you're at this point where there's this piece of shit guy. Maybe he's, fun to laugh around, but maybe when he gets drunk, he gets mad. Maybe he steals from you, but there's always something with him. You're like, dude, like just stop. And I think that it's so hard because you don't want anything bad to happen to him, because that would make you feel guilty, but you also just want him to not exist in your orbit.
life.
So
Right.
in some cases, people feel guilt for feeling relief. They feel guilt that now their life is more peaceful. So it's a very conflicting kind of feeling. People are not saying like, yeah, good job, guys, but they're like, oh, thank God. Like, Phillip's
But you're
not here
right. This
anymore.
comes ultimately back first his parents, and then also on Phillip too. For you know, I'm sure people told him how they felt during his lifetime.
Well, and he's been in jail like tons and tons of times. There's also times when he was like 17 years old and in jail. So at this point, no one really took any interest in like trying to get him onto the straight and narrow. So at this point, it's kind of like,
there was
you know,
no great rehabilitation either, probably in his life. So you have that other factor too. So
there's 4 more pictures just of him. 2 are almost very similar. They're just of him and a dog. So you can look at those while I read my last little paragraph here.
Oh, that lobster's huge.
yeah.
Those are some meaty claws.
I would love to get my teeth into those claws.
So we'll show these photos like I say every time. But there's like a toddler, Lindsay. How old is he? Like
who is that?
4?
No, he'd probably like 2 or 3.
I mean, I'm not a mom. I don't know. Anyway, the lobster essentially is almost as tall as the kid's entire body minus his head.
Who is that toddler? Do you know?
So I actually got these photos from his obituary. So I assume it's like probably a nephew or something because he had a sister who he was close with.
Right.
So Phillip was a thief or thief. He was a thief. That's how Cape Breton say it. He lied, stole, cheated, uttered threats to literally everyone, including his own family. But he likely also had bipolar disorder, and with no kind of mental health assistance, it was never treated. Numerous times, neighbors and his own sister would call the police to report his illegal activities, and basically nothing serious was ever done. This could be a case of decent people getting pushed to their edge and doing something that no one ever thought they would do or could do, but it's still a human being with a family, with family and friends who loved him. So one thing is for certain, the village can't keep blaming Phillip for every little thing that goes wrong anymore, because the season after his death, more lobster traps were cut and lobsters stolen than ever before.
What?
And that's the story of the murder for lobster,
Oh my
or
God.
the Phillip Boudreau.
So it might not even have been him that this family
Well,
was
I think they
pissed off
caught him
at.
in the act.
definitely
at that
did it.
time.
I mean,
So
no,
he's-
he was doing it at this point and probably
Right.
had done it at some other point as well. But
Yeah,
it's like it
maybe it
wasn't
was
just him.
people were
and
trying
he
to-
just
Here's what I think.
blame
So-
him for everything.
We have watched reality TV, you know, as a collective. You, listener, I'm sure, watch some reality TV. If you have taste, you do. There's always a villain. You hate the villain. You cannot wait for the villain to get kicked off or whatever. As soon as that villain is gone, there's a power vacuum and someone takes the place every time. So Phillip was a very imperfect human. Show me one person that's not imperfect, except for maybe Tom Hanks. Although actually Tom Hanks did laugh at the Harry Weinstein joke. So there you go, Tom. That's one check against you. Like Harvey
I don't
Weinstein.
know what
What
you're
did I
talking
say?
about, but okay.
Anyway, it was a Ricky Gervais Golden Globe thing. You had to be there for it. Anyway, so I think that Phillip did all those things and more. And when he was gone, people thought, well, I mean, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And they figured
Right.
everyone's going to be extra
I
sensitive.
mean, they'd
and so
have
they
to know
just-
that they're not going to blame Phillip this time if he's gone.
I mean,
He's dead.
he was just always the guy, you know, because he was doing it. But I read that he would be in prison and people would be, oh my God, Phillip broke into my shed, because that was just the default. He was like the scapegoat. Not that he didn't do
okay.
it, but he just became like the reason.
Well, I mean, he definitely didn't do it when he was in prison, but yeah.
But people would just say that because they just assumed it was
Yeah.
him, because it was him all the time. So very sad, and literally over a lot of little things.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This is a sad case because it's one of those ones where it's like, okay, there's so many things that failed here, including Phillip himself.
Yeah.
It's just sad.
But remember
I'm
that
just sad that he couldn't like
showed you the cool lobsters at the
grow
beginning?
and be right. That's right. We'll go back to
Yes,
the
he
blue
was not given a full chance to turn potentially his life around. Now, to say that he would have doesn't
Right,
mean
you
that he
have to
didn't
learn
want
how to read.
but
He did learn how to
Yeah.
read. He didn't finish school. He had probably
His
a
options
learning
were
disability,
limited,
mental illness,
for sure.
yeah.
and no one actually really gave a fuck.
A lot of things failed him.
Yeah, and he didn't deserve
life.
this. He also shouldn't have done any of the things that he did. But, you know, as we know, it's generational, it's systemic. It's kind of like,
Right.
at that point, it should have been the police that said, listen, you're on probation, starts again. Or like, he needed one person to take an interest in his progression and say, hey, you're in prison. We're going to teach you how to read. We're going to get you a skill.
Yeah.
Like, he literally could have become a fisherman and worked on a boat. Like, it was a very thin line between doing what he's doing, but legally. And I just think that because, you know, and I mean, we've all had those kids in class that are like loud, disruptive, kicking, hitting, and you're like, oh my God, I hate that kid. And you don't know what's going on. And I think that probably was it. So people like grew up learning to be annoyed with him. And so no one actually wanted to help him. And then his own dad was like abusing him.
Yeah, that's so sad.
So, you know, happy National Lobster Day, everybody.
Yay.
Yay.
So I'm going to go back to the blue lobster photos and feel happy again.
Or
Pinchy.
At the end of this video, I'm definitely just going to do like a B-reel of just lobster photos. Yeah, that's really sad though. But thank you for informing us about this case.
Yeah.
So welcome.
I hope
not know
next lobster year you're not so sad.
It's actually,
I feel like I should.
it's actually worse, maybe.
Oh God.
And can I tell you
Yay,
that
Lobster Day.
I had the two cases and Lindsay like hinted at one. So I went to her separately. I'm like, what case are you talking about? Because I want to see if I was doing it. And she's like, oh, here are two also murder lobster cases. I'm like, no, I'm doing a different murder lobster case.
So there's a lot of lobster murders for you
Yeah.
to cover in the future.
And then if you are, you know, I mean, if you've Googled lobster and murder, one case definitely has popped up. And I'm going to cover that one next year. But I'm not going to tell you what it is. But you're probably going to guess what it is because you have a whole year to do it. And that's it.
I'm just going to find a quick. Okay. Where did the lobster keeps its clothes?
In the closet.
Closet.
Tell a real joke. That was easy. Oh,
Okay. What do you call an annoyed lobster?
what?
A frustration.
That was so bad.
Okay.
We're back.
Well, yeah, thank you. Sorry to end on such a shitty joke, but why don't lobsters share?
Because they're shellfish.
Damn, there was
I may have looked up some other ones and I already read that one. Sorry.
Okay. Well, we will end it here so we don't do these long drawn out try to say goodbye things that we always do that are incredible.
If you have any dads in your life that need some new material, you can tell them to listen to our podcast.
There you go.
About lobster.
Gold, Jerry. Okay. Well,
Okay.
I'm gonna say goodbye and you know, wait for part 2 in 364 days.
Love it. Can't wait.
Can't wait.
Well, I love you and I will talk to you guys in about 3 minutes. Okay, bye.
Bye,
everyone. Thank you for listening today. We loved having you. If you liked the episode, share with your friends, family, or anyone who would enjoy it. Also, take a moment to review our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Leaving us a like or comment really helps. If you'd like to buy us a coffee, please visit our coffee page at www.ko-fi.com/coastfiles. Email us at coastfilespod@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at coastfilespod, or visit our website at www.coastfiles.com. You can find the sources for today's episode on our website. See you next week with a new episode.